Hey loves, welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking all about your budget and getting started with the baby steps. So let's get into it. Alright, so if you're following along with our budget, you should have your budget created by now. It's probably a baby budget and it just has the bare minimum basics on it. However, in your budget, you should have a discrepancy from what your income is versus your expenses. So you're going to want to look and find out what that number is. So your take-home pay versus how much you're spending to live. And if you're spending a lot on your need or on your wants that are the expenses, then you want to pare those back to where you're just spending primarily on your needs. Now, once you've taken care of your needs, you should have a discrepancy, right? You should have some additional money left over from how much you're bringing in as your paycheck. So let's take a look at what to do with that additional income. If you're starting with the baby steps, you're going to want to start with baby step number 1, which is to create a $1,000 emergency fund. And you're going to want to do this as quickly as you possibly can. Now, what we did when we were going through this process was we stuck to our 4 walls and paying the basic just minimums on our credit cards. So anything that we were making a payment on, we paid the minimum. We were able to take our additional income and funnel it into an emergency fund. Now, you want to do this as quickly as possible because it's not something that you're going to build to be really large. It's just going to be $1,000, which should cover an emergency if you have one, depending on the size of your family. Now, disclaimer, Dave Ramsey does suggest different size emergency funds for different people. So if you're single, if you're not married, if you say you just started working, say you're living with your parents or you're living with a roommate or something like that, your expenses aren't huge, then you can typically get away with about $500 emergency fund. Now it is based on your income, and I will have that information linked below because I'm not sure the exact number. However, if you are not in that situation and you're making above that income, then you want to have at least $1,000 in an emergency fund. Now, this is up to you because if you have children, if you have like a car that's like on its last dying legs, if you have like say, you live far from your family, and if an emergency happened with your family, you'd want to go home, and so you know that that's an emergency expense. By all means, make your emergency fund larger. However, this should not take you very long to get. Now, if you find that you don't really have much additional income to create an emergency fund and to build that buffer, then it's time to sell some stuff. So my husband and I, we had to do this. We had to sell things, and I kind of go back into this mode every now and then. I'm also kind of toying around with like a minimalism lifestyle, so we're selling a lot of things anyway. However, if you are trying to get that $1,000 saved up and you just don't really have any additional income, start selling whatever you can. Start doing extra things to bring in some additional money. Get a part-time job if you can. Do whatever you need to do because you need to save up this money and create a buffer because you're no longer relying on credit cards to get you out of an emergency. So if something happens, say your car breaks down, say you need to get new tires on your car, and you don't have a sinking fund for your car yet, which we'll talk about later, but you have to get tires on your car because that's part of your 4 walls and that's part of transportation for how you get to work. And if you can't get to work, then you're not making money, and that's all bad. So you need to get that car fixed. So you have to pull out money from the emergency fund. Now normally if you would, before you started this process of paying off your debt and creating financial freedom for yourself, you probably would have just run to a credit card, swiped it on a credit card, and be done with it, right? I'll pay it off in 6 months, I'll pay it off, incrementally, what have you. We're no longer doing that. We are now strictly cash-based budgeting, right? Cash-based living. So you need that emergency fund should an emergency happen. And as Dave Ramsey always says, Murphy's Law states that what can go wrong will go wrong. So an emergency will happen of some sort at some point, and you want to make sure that you're covered for it. Now, that's our baby step number 1, is get that $1,000 emergency fund. So I'm going to challenge you guys. What are you going to sell or change, take out of your budget in order to get your emergency fund situated and put away in the next month or 2 months? Go ahead and share with me in a comment below. I would love to know and encourage you guys in that journey. Be sure to check back tomorrow as we're going to talk about baby step number 2. Thanks guys so much for watching, and be sure to subscribe for more videos just like this.